Hi everyone, this is Alex. Thank you all for the feedback you provided on Reddit, Vanikani, and YouTube. I really appreciate it and will use it to make those videos better. I want to tell you again that I'm still learning Japanese and it's inevitable that I'm going to make some mistakes from time to time. For that reason, please read the text bubble side of the videos and read the descriptions because I post the corrections in them. This is not an extensive guide to Japanese grammar. Each rule can take hours to explore in detail. These videos will provide starting points for you to further learn particular grammar. I provide links for all the grammar I explain, so please use them for your convenience. Some people said that those videos are too long, so I will add annotations, like the one you see on the bottom right, that will allow you to skip to the next point in the video, so if you know the grammar and want to skip it, you can just click the annotation. You may hear a lot of ambient noise in this video, and I apologize for that. Last time I used noise filtering software, and it made my voice and manner of speech sound weird and sometimes really distorted. Some people pointed out that the Japanese used in the previous video was not conventional and might sound unnatural. I do agree with that, but I also think that even though you might not hear these phrases in everyday life, you can still learn the grammar from them. Some people said that they did not want to watch the last video because it was analyzing a phrase from an ongoing show. Next time I'm going to do a phrase from Zankyo no Terror, but this time I'm going to explain a phrase from an anime called Darker Than Black, Ryuusei no Gemini. This episode has more conventional grammar usage than the previous one, but it's very interesting nonetheless. So let's watch it.
苦しむのを見るのが楽しくてさ。
Let's watch again with the Japanese subs on.
苦しむのを見るのが楽しくてさ。
And one more time with the English subs.
苦しむのを見るのが楽しくてさ。
Yep, the video is short this time, but it has lots of interesting grammar. As you can see, the English translation says, I enjoyed watching their suffering. And that is not exactly what he says. Let's see what's going on here. The first word the character says is kurushimu. In English, this word means to suffer. Simple enough. One, however, may wonder what the relationship between this verb and an I-adjective kurushi is, and whether this pattern can be applied to any I-adjectives. From what I have found online, it seems like there is no such rule, but such pairs exist. Another such pair is tanoshimu and tanoshi, which means to enjoy and enjoyable, respectively. What is interesting, however, and it's a fairly advanced grammar point, so I'm not going to discuss it so not to confuse anyone, is that I-adjectives are essentially verbs, stative verbs to be precise, and I'm going to post links to some articles about it in the description, so check them out if you're interested. Let's move on. Next we have no, but it's not a possessive particle in this case. In fact, this is something called a nominalizer. Basically, it turns a sentence, a whole sentence that it modifies, into a noun equivalent. So you could do all the awesome things you can usually do with nouns, like using them as direct objects, which is exactly what is happening here. O is a direct object particle and miru is a verb to see, to watch. I have explained the direct object particle in the previous video, so you can check it out if you want. Links in the description. In short, it marks a noun, or noun equivalent, as a direct object for a verb to exert its action on, if that makes sense. Let's put it all together. So the verb kurushimu is nominalized and is turned into a noun equivalent. Then we have a direct object particle o and the verb miru, to see, to watch. Thus, this part, kurushimu no o miru, translates into to watch suffering. You may remember that the English translation says something like to watch them suffering, and it follows from the context and from what the character has said before, so don't worry, there is no they explicitly said anywhere. It's worth mentioning that there is another nominalizer in the Japanese language, koto. No and koto mostly can be used interchangeably, but sometimes verbs favor one over another. In fact, the verb miru favors no, and you should always use no as a nominalizer with miru. I'm going to post links to articles which explain which nominalizers to use with what verbs. Next we have no, another nominalizer, and I think that's one of the things that makes this sentence interesting. Let's look a bit closer at how those two normalizers work together. The first one turns kurushimu into a noun equivalent, so it can be treated like a direct object by the verb miru. Then this whole thing is normalized again. I'll have to switch off hiragana here for a moment, and I hope this scheme really shows you how normalizers work. So up to now the phrase translates to watching them suffering. Them is implicit from the context. Next we got a ga particle, And I have explained it last time, and even though I gave wrong example sentences, I hope you got the idea. People much smarter than me have explained it already, so I will post links about ga particle in the description as usual. So we are down to the last and most interesting piece of grammar in this phrase, tanoshikute. I find it really fascinating because from it you can see how much stuff happens behind the scenes in Japanese grammar. When I first saw the video, I was like, why is he using te form? What's going on? I asked a native speaker and he told me that it comes from a longer phrase, tanoshikute shikata ga nai. Let's see what's going on here. First we have tanoshikute, which is a te form of the I-adjective tanoshi, which means enjoyable or fun. Te form is so ubiquitous in the Japanese language that it's taught very early, and it can also be used for many things, so I'm not going to dive into it. In this case, basically the te form is used to link two predicates, which are tanoshi and shikata ga nai. Thus, tanoshi is turned into tanoshikute. It's always so that the te form expresses a particular relationship between the predicates. For example, they happen at the same time, or one is the reason for another. I think in this case this distinction is not very clear, but my guess would be that it describes two states of someone, and you will see why once I explain what shikata ga nai is. Shikata ga nai is usually translated as a whole phrase, and it's an idiom. It means something like it can't be helped, there is no use. But since you want to be meticulous here, I'll briefly explain how it's formed. The first word is shikata, which means way, method, means. It's also interesting because one of the meaning for the first kanji is doing, while the second one has a meaning direction. Thus, direction of doing becomes method. Next is the infamous ga, which marks shikata as a subject. And lastly we have nai, which is just a negative form of the verb aru, to have, to be, to exist. So literally the phrase becomes way does not exist, way there is none, which renders quite well to your usual English, it's no use, or it can be helped. Let's put it together now. Tanoshikute, enjoyable, shikata ga nai, it can be helped. What he's saying is it's so enjoyable, it can't be helped. He's like trembling with enjoyment. That's also why it makes it so creepy, because he sits and talks very calmly. I think English translation loses this particular nuance. You will not see tanoshikute shikata ga nai used in everyday speech. I was told it's somewhat poetic, but tanoshikute is used a lot. Okay, let's have a look at the whole phrase one more time. Sa at the end is a sentence ending particle, which is a casual version of yo. It's usually used by males to put emphasis on what they are saying. I'll post a link so you can read more about sentence ending particles. Let's put it all together. Kurushimu, to suffer. Kurushimu no, suffering. Kurushimu no o miru, to watch them suffering. Them is implicit. Kurushimu no o miru no, watching them suffering. Kurushimu no o miru no ga tanoshikute sa, watching them suffering is so enjoyable. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments below and let's watch the video one more time.
苦しむのを見るのが楽しくてさ。